What's going on, guys? I'm just sitting here drawing as I do. Y'all know the drill. And I started to think. So I turned my camera on and I started to think about the things that make us unique. This isn't really a philosophical critique on the different aspects of the human experience that make us individual and beautiful, though I believe that it's an important conversation to have. This is more just my thoughts on preserving individuality within characters in the context of writing a narrative or telling a story. So I think within literature or even just media at large, we have a tendency to see characters as representing something more than themselves, which is good. It's effective and it's a very organic way for a storyteller to go. But a lot of the times I think that what we see is different aspects of the human experience personified into specific characters, such as bliss or wisdom or depression, anxiety, something. We take a specific emotion or experience and we personify it into a specific character so that that character can evoke that emotion out of either our protagonist or our reader. And I think that it can be a very effective way of developing characters when done intentionally and not subconsciously, and specifically within hyper-stylized storytelling. But the risk you run when you do something like this, in my opinion and from my own experience, is you kind of create this smorgasbord of monolith side characters that this is the thing that they represent and they do it super well, but they represent nothing more. It makes them feel almost one-dimensional. And the more and more I thought about that, the more and more I thought about kind of how human beings are all very similar to each other, and specifically human beings that share in a similar plight have a tendency to be very similar to each other, which can be extremely difficult to write. So a lot of you guys know that I've been a soldier for a very long time. I've been a soldier since I was a teenager, and therefore it's the only occupation I've ever really held. And because of that, the vast majority of my closest friends are all soldiers, which is great. It's awesome. They understand me. It's a very natural thing for human beings to do. We gather around people that understand us. But something that can be a little bit difficult is if we are out in public, just anywhere, at the bar, at a coffee shop, somewhere, and you look at us, it's kind of difficult to tell us apart in specifically within the context of personality, not physically, but even physically it can be. I'm a 5'8" white dude with tattoos and brown hair, and so when we're talking about different personality traits and stuff like that, it's hard when you look at us because we are all kind of, funnily enough, just the same person, copy and pasted different ways. My best friends, they are all snipers that play the same video games that I do, that snowboard on the weekends, that ride motorcycles and like to play Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons and nerd out about all of the things that I like to nerd out about. That's why they're my best friends. And it's not until you spend a pretty intentional amount of time with us that we start to kind of delineate between who is interested in what, but until an actually individualized personality really starts to form, which is kind of funny, and I could talk about echo chambers, but I'm not going to. But specifically within the context of writing, I think that it's been actually extremely healthy for me because I had to do that. I had to look at my friends and say, you're a soldier, I'm a soldier, he's a soldier, we're all striving towards the same plight. How are we handling this differently? What really makes me different from Kyle or from Will? Why are we different from each other? And I think that that's just been really healthy for me as I've been exploring my own narrative and trying to write characters that feel grounded and feel like they're not just simply there to represent something to my reader and to my protagonist. So I guess maybe that's what I'm just here to do. It's kind of hard for me to like sit and offer advice to people having not yet published my first book, but it's just something that's helped me as a writer is look at your closest friends. Maybe they're not like as similar to you as my friends are to me, but they're probably a little bit similar to you. I would assume that y'all at least enjoy some of the same things, unless you're just, it's that friend that you guys have been friends since 5 and they're just friends of habit at this point, which is also a completely different thing that I'll cover later. But I would encourage you to like look at that person. Look at that person that's very similar to you and start asking yourself what makes them different. Even if you're not writing a character that is supposed to be based off of this individual, even if you're just writing like something completely different, I think that it's kind of good to look at the people similar to you, think about a situation that was perhaps tough for the both of you that you were in together, it was a shared experience, how they handled it different for you and why they did. What do you know about their personality that caused them to handle that experience different than you? Take that and run with it, I know about myself that I have kind of a pervasive tendency towards impulsivity and recklessness. It's who I am. I've been that way since I was a kid. I don't really look before I leap. And that's kind of been one of the things that has defined me within my setting of very similar people. Whereas my buddy Kyle, he has a curiosity about him that I don't have. He asks why things work. Not even necessarily how, but why. And you can kind of explore those minute aspects of, just the human personality, and you can write characters off of them. You can kind of spiral those out any way you want to. And again, I've seen, there's plenty of different ways that it's done. A lot of people within like, maybe more high fantasy stuff, but fantasy literature in general, like characters' personality will be based, around their physical attributes, such as even just the weapon that they're holding. Like you've got the axe guy, and like that's his personality. He's the axe guy, or like the bow girl. Everybody does the bow girl, and that's her personality. And I think that I think it's lazy and unimaginative, and it's also doing yourself an injustice because, it's not necessarily a common thing that you would see. And if you look at your own anecdotal evidence, that's not something that you would see within your own, I guess, friend group if you were pressed with this plight. That kind of fell apart there at the end, but you get what I'm saying. I think that when writing characters, it's very important to understand really what makes us different and do our best not to just personify things that we want our protagonist to experience. Again, this is less me giving writing advice and me saying what has helped me, at least what I believe has helped me. Again, the jury's still out. You guys, I guess, get to tell me when you read my first book. But yeah, that's just something that I've been thinking about since I've been writing. The new piece we're doing is a setting piece. I just started it like an hour ago. Hopefully I don't spill coffee on it. It's Fenric meeting Fable. You guys will meet Fable later. And I'm really excited about it. I mean, for the most part, that's all I've got for the day. Thanks guys.